right, so what I want to know is, what is your take on dancing in church? Because we're from Jamaica. You know how some people view that. You know the culture, the mindset, the mentality. But yet still in the Bible, David danced till his clothes all fall off.
Yeah.
So how would you view that?
But my view on dancing in church is the same view as to every other talent, whether singing, whether poetry, whether painting. At the end of the day, you have a talent that was given to you by God. Mm-hmm. If you are using it to glorify God, why should persons have an issue with it? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what we do, whether you're a hip-hop person who is good at hip-hop, whether you're a person who is good at reggae, whether you're a person who is good at writing like DJ kind of lyric. It doesn't matter what your talent is, you're using it to actually give God glory. When I look at it, if we look at Jamaica, the persons who DJ Nicholas can reach isn't somebody who Kevin Downswell can reach, because God uses each of us based off our talents, based off our gifts that He has given to us, to actually reach specific persons. There's persons who are assigned to you who are not assigned to me. And so my assignment and how I use my gift will vary. And so dancing to me is like every other gift or every other talent that a person can have. Once you're using it to glorify God, there shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, I agree totally. That's not easy to tell.
That is true.
People though, like the mindset. Remember we were speaking earlier about the mindset and how a lot of people think that based on how they were raised, based on the ideologies that was given to them, not realizing that God is doing a new thing. God is changing the way how things are or how things work. Don't get me wrong, His words remain the same. Because a lot of people would write and say in the comment sections and saying all sorts of stuff like, it's the same God yesterday, today, and He will be forever. Yeah, He does. But it's a dangerous place to be where God was. Because God, He doesn't just always stay in one particular way of doing things. He has multiple ways of getting His glory to become manifested. He has multiple ways of allowing His work to unfold in the life of His people.
Marlon, I think that we need to be careful when it comes on to religion and culture and doctrine, because anything that is man-made or anything that what's man's perspective, we should be careful about it, because religion doesn't save us, but our relationship with God, what God is saying to us individually. Because there's a lot of times God wants to do a new thing, like what we were saying before, but because we are stuck in ourselves, we're stuck in our flesh, we're stuck in that, this is what I know to be true based off what I was taught. You are not focusing on the voice of God, but you're focusing on the voice of other persons. We ought to be careful for that, because the only voice that we should be listening to is the voice of God. And sometimes I see where persons try to please other persons and try to live up to the expectations of other persons because of religion, and miss God because they are not focusing on what God is saying to them individually, but focusing on what persons are saying based off their perspective and not God's perspective. And we ought to be careful in that regard.
That is so true. That is so true.
So Marlon, what kind of encouragement would you give a young person who God is actually dealing with to use their particular talent or gift that God has placed in their lives, but yet still they might be having a struggle with the religious set of persons in the church who aren't seeing exactly what God is doing now.
And they're not in acceptance of it. Well, it's very difficult to answer that question because we respect our elders. We respect their office. We respect their position. We respect the authority that they've been given based on the capacity that they're in. And you don't want to overstep that. So sometimes you have to really just forfeit it within the walls of church building, as in the physical building of church, but externally you could use your talent to glorify God. So I think that if you're good at DJing, if you're good at rapping, if you're good at dancing, honestly, I feel like you can glorify God in your own way, not only in church, as in like the building church, but also on your own, in your home, on the road.
That is so true. And I think that is an important point, because there are always some persons that even though God might even call you to be a pastor or a teacher or an evangelist, it doesn't necessarily start behind the pulpit.
Yeah.
But it starts within your family, like you said, with your friends, you going out and witnessing. Jesus wasn't confined to a building, just being in the synagogue, but he went out. And I think that is something that we need to look at as young persons for real, because sometimes I think we miss it. And also I think that we ought to be humble like how David was, and wait and pray to God and just wait and see how God is going to move, because at the end of the day, when God wants to do something new, nobody or nothing can stop what he's going to do. And once he has put purpose on your life, which everyone has purpose on their life, and once he has purpose for you, nothing can stop that.
That is true.